Although being a relatively small and isolationist society, the Brotherhood of Steel is one of the most widely spread factions in the post-war United States. Across the breadth of the series, the Brotherhood have been encountered across the Wasteland. For example, the original headquarters of the Brotherhood of Steel is located in the Lost Hills Bunker, nestled on the west coast within the new California state of Maxon. While a newer chapter, under Elder Arthur Maxon, is able to be seen occupying the eastern seaboard, with core power bases in Washington, D.C. and Boston. These two divisions of the Brotherhood are the ones that we as a player have had the most experience with, having appeared in a multitude of titles across the series. However, although being the most notable Brotherhood divisions, the West and East Coast chapters are definitely not the only chapters seen in the post-war Wasteland. One chapter that by the East Coast's own admission has fallen off the radar is the unseen and mysterious Brotherhood of Steel detachment located in Chicago. To start, the Chicago detachment of the Brotherhood is partly based on the Midwestern Brotherhood of Steel, seen in the Fallout spin-off game Fallout Tactics. However, in regards to canon lore, Bethesda has clarified that the events of this game never canonically happened. As such, much of the content of the Midwestern Brotherhood of Steel has then been used for the Chicago chapter of the Brotherhood. As a prehistory, in their bid to locate, preserve, and regulate advanced technology in the post-war world, the Lost Hills division of the Brotherhood of Steel sent a legion of airships into the east. Having recently faced the mutant threat of the Master's army, the Brotherhood sought to search for tech, but also to scour for any signs of further mutation to grasp how tainted the waste had become. The expedition of airships began their journey east with high hopes of accomplishing the goals of the Brotherhood. However, these airships faltered in comparison to the later models seen, such as the Prydwen, being stated by Captain Kells as being far less advanced in make and model. As a result, the expedition of airships was an unmitigated disaster. The majority were stated to have been destroyed in combat from hostile supermutants or raider tribes, with the remainder scuttled for parts. However, one vessel was able to traverse the largest breadth of the wasteland before crash landing in the city once known as Chicago. Reports on the fate of the unfortunate Brotherhood detachment vary. Some members denied their existence entirely, others acknowledged that the group had landed in Chicago but may no longer be in existence. Some, however, state that the Chicago chapter is still out there, but they've gone rogue. The chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel on the East Coast, originally led by Elder Lyons and now led by Elder Maxon, were founded as an unintentional byproduct in the search for the Chicago Regiment. Lyons' expedition was originally sent east for three purposes. 1. To search the ruins of DC for advanced tech. 2. Investigate the super mutant threat. And thirdly, to locate the Chicago Brotherhood, which were also known as the Eastern Brotherhood, and restore them into the fold. The events that unfolded are difficult to ascertain. However, we do know that Lyons' group did make contact with the Chicago chapter of the Brotherhood in some form or another, whether indirectly or directly. Although in-game sources do state that the Lyons Brotherhood were unsuccessful in finding the Chicago Brotherhood, other sources contest this. An entry about Elder Owen Lyons reads the following. Elder Lyons, age 75, was already highly decorated when he set out from the Order's West Coast headquarters, leading a party of soldiers on a mission to re-establish contact with the Eastern Brotherhood. The presence of the super mutants sent a chill up the collective spine of the Brotherhood. These weren't the children of the dreaded Master, nor were they the remnants of the band that fled east and were ultimately destroyed or assimilated into the Brotherhood of Steel in the Chicago area. Proctor Elizabeth Jameson also claims to have knowledge of the Brotherhood chapter in the Chicago area.
The Brotherhood has been battling super mutants for decades. First out west, then in Chicago, now here.
Lastly, Scribe Rothschild states the following when asked where the rest of the Brotherhood of Steel is.
There's also a small detachment in Chicago, but they're off the radar. Gone rogue. Long story.
Ironically, Elder Owen Lyons' chapter had been declared as gone rogue by the Brotherhood High Command back in Lost Hills, given the fact that years after they arrived in DC, they stopped their core mission of locating tech and begun to assist the locals. However, this was years after the fact, and so it appears that the Chicago chapter had gone rogue an extra step further. Exactly what this means, though, is hard to determine. Being isolated and alone in a hostile area with no refuge but their crashed airship may have caused the Chicago detachment to fully indulge in zealotry. The Brotherhood are notable isolationists, however, the Chicago Brotherhood may have taken this a step further and come to be hostile to their counterparts when they met Lyons' Brotherhood. In my opinion, their status of having gone rogue though is due to the chapter going the complete other direction. The Chicago chapter draws their inspiration from the Midwestern Brotherhood of Steel, who were notable for their recruitment of non-humans into their ranks, in particular, super mutants. The canonical Fallout story does also allude to the idea that the Chicago Brotherhood may have gone in a similar direction, from the previous entry which stated, "These weren't the children of the dreaded master, nor were they the remnants of the band that fled east and were ultimately destroyed or assimilated into the Brotherhood of Steel in the Chicago area." It may be that the Chicago chapter of the Brotherhood had been declared a rogue chapter upon being found by Lyons' group as having admitted super mutants into their society. It is notable to state that Lyons' Brotherhood group are far more open-minded than most chapters, given their benevolence to Wastelanders. Their willingness to approve of a Brotherhood chapter admitting non-humans may have just been a bridge too far, which would have led to Lyons declaring them to be renegades, intentionally not assisting them or barring contact with them any further. Ultimately, whether the Chicago chapter went rogue due to being too mean or too nice, we don't really know. We also don't know if they're holed up in the airship wreckage or a bunker, or if they instead have come to control their own neo-fiefdom in the post-war ruins of Chicago. However, we do know that they are out there, and that although they may have come from the West Coast, they seem to have decided to make their home in Chicago. Perhaps they were simply blown away by the Windy City.